Well, good morning, everybody. I am here to kind of show you what I've been working on for a while now. So I joined a game jam hosted by CSUM, which is the California State University Monterey Bay. I have a couple friends that go there for computer science, and they're really heavily involved with game dev stuff there. And so every now and then they host game jams, and I try to get involved and interact and see what I can make. So for the entire month of October, I was making this game for that game jam. The biggest fault that happened is that I didn't pay attention to the due date. I thought it went until the end of October, October 31st, when in reality, voting went until October 31st. Submissions were due that Monday, the 27th. So my game was late, but the people still recognized it, and we had a lot of fun. I'm very proud of what I made. I worked with some friends to do voice acting and music. We're going to take a look here. Let's hit play.
Prisoner, over here.
Alright, so as you can see, we wake up in this cell. We're running at a very, very low resolution. I want to say we're running at 360p or something. I tried to give it a very PSX, PlayStation 1 reminiscent vibe. I just tried to make it very, very aesthetically cohesive. The theme was medieval mayhem, so really pretty much any medieval theme we could come up with, and my thought was a dungeon puzzle game. Anyway, so we wake up. Obviously we have been called prisoner over here, and we go over here and to see my first really proud accomplishment using Godot and doing this is that I have set up cutscenes and animations.
Quite a predicament you're in, isn't it? I'm sure you're wondering how you've come to end up in a place like this. Unfortunately, that's a question for another time. All you need to know is I'm here to help. Take this key. It'll get you out of your cell. After that, however, you're on your own. I'll be waiting on you to make it out of this. Don't let us down.
The very, very last thing I added to this game was the key sound effect. And I was a little bit in a rush because it was Friday, it was Halloween. I got home from work. I really wanted to push this game out on the 31st. That was my plan. I was pretty on time. And I was like, oh no, I don't have a key sound effect. So I scrounged around and found one that worked. I think the key sound effect, I think it's a good sound effect that really works, but it really sounds like a pipe. Like metal pipe clang sound effect. Anyway, so that guy, very mysterious man, he seems to know why we're in here. He drops us this key, and we now have a key you can see on the inventory. And we can now escape our cell by unlocking the door. And it opens here. We are now in this next room. You can see over there. Nothing you can get over there, but it seems relevant. And we come down to this room. And as you see, we have what looks to be a torch on the pedestal there. Obviously, I can't reach it. I can't jump in this game, which I had a small jump in the game, but there was no reason to ever jump. And sometimes if you jump into this grate, and oh no, I've done it. I've done exactly what I was. The collision shape here is bad. Oh, I'm out. You can get stuck there. Anyway, so we can't go there. There's a door over here that's all like locked. We can't get in there. But there's a door here, and if we interact with that, you see that we can go through here. Another notable thing, and here's our first puzzle. Another notable thing here is the hand icon. I'm kind of proud of. I literally just took a picture of my hand. I don't own a green screen, so I put a giant image of just flat green on my computer screen and took a picture of my hand in front of it, and it actually turned out quite well. So we have a puzzle here. I wanted to originally make a note. You pick up a note here and it gives you the clue. We didn't have time for that, but I'll go ahead and put that note that I typed out in my Google Doc right here. And essentially the solution is speaking head, coins, stack of coins, and the cross. And when that happens, this then opens and we get this lever. Or, it seems to be a lever. I don't know. Maybe someone playing that doesn't realize it. And we have this contraption here. You install the lever, you flick the switch, and the grade goes down. Very, very rudimentary. And then now we pick up the torch. Once we have the torch, of course, we can go ahead and toggle that on and off. We get a lit effect, light, that kind of makes it easier to see. That light also flickers a little bit. I achieved that using, originally I was just going to use maybe a random number generator, a tween generator to change the light effect, but I found a video of someone who did the same thing using a normal map. It's really weird. It picks a random point on the map at any given moment, and it sets the light energy to that normal map. And it took a lot of tweaking, and I still am not entirely sure how it works, but it works. And I could do it again, but we'll see. Just tools. Anyway, we enter this room next. I'm getting ahead of myself, and we are in a maze here. I'm not going to act like I get lost. One of the big things that I kind of cut short on and didn't do was place a lot of objects. I wanted to put bookshelves and shelves and wood beams, and I just wanted to make the place kind of look really cluttered and decrepit, if you will. We've got some Z fighting there, but nobody's really going to notice that. But this maze is pretty empty. The clue I gave for this maze is essentially just follow the lights. This is a game made in 1 month for a game jam. I did not want people to really get lost and spend a lot of frustrating time on it. I wanted them to, pretty easily make their way through the game. But we travel through the maze here. I placed just four torches. There's only 4 torches in this whole maze. And you make your way through it, and we get to the end here, which we'll see here in a second. Right here is the only confusing part. I maybe should have put a torch over here, but we're at the very end of the maze here. I didn't think that would be necessary. Alright, we now travel to the third and final puzzle. I didn't necessarily make it super apparent, but I figured by having torches on the wall, some are lit, some are unlit, it would probably draw the player's eyes. You'll walk up, you can see, you can interact with that. I did also let the player go into this room. There's this pedestal here, it seems a little important. You can walk up here. We have a door that we can't interact with, can't get out. And back here you can actually see this is an overlook back into the first area. This is the first time I've really dived into level designing. I kind of wanted to make it a cohesive level. As you can see, that's the grate and that's our cell door. Our cell is actually right here. It's a little hard to see here, but I actually do have a water texture here that is in fact moving in dark green, but it almost kind of just looks like an abyss. Anyway, let's go back here to the puzzle that I created. To make it pretty obvious, well, not obvious, but you interact with this light and it triggers the 2 torches next to it, right? So the goal, of course, or what hopefully would appear to be the obvious goal, is that we're trying to light all 3 torches, or we're trying to light all 5 torches, my bad. There's a very easy answer. You can actually just press the 3rd torch and the 2nd torch. But there you go, you light all 5. We have this door that opens here, and we've got this spinning orb. What is the orb? I don't know. It's an orb. You can go ahead and take the orb. If we go back to this pedestal, we can now interact with it. And that actually opens this door up here. So as you can see, we now see, I forgot to fix the floating tree. As you can see, there is a floating tree right here. But we have now escaped, and that goes into our final cutscene.
Well done, sinner. It seems we chose well. Take 'em to the aisle.
So there you go, that's the entire game. Pretty concise. Put some credits at the end for the people I worked with to do some of the extra stuff. A lot of the assets that I used were drawn from itch.io. A lot of them were free community assets under the CCO license. Some of them I actually did buy and pay for. There were some really good deals for Halloween going on for PSX assets, and I did want to take advantage of that because being able to use other assets really helped speed this up. There was no way in ever that I was going to create everything from scratch for a game of, honestly, this scale in just a month. And I am really proud of what I made. Let's take a look. Here we have the full game project, and here's that floating tree. I think that's the one floating tree that I never fixed, which is the one that the player actually sees when they walk out. Anyway, so yeah, we have the entire game here. It is, as you can see, it is one concise, one collective building. Actually, I didn't get too insanely abstract with the level design. The player starts in the cell down here. We have the camera and the player. They always begin facing this direction. If that doesn't happen, the player controller gets weird and it gets the directions mixed up. I'm sure I could set some on-ready variables to detect which direction the player is facing, and go from there. I have the cutscene trigger box here, which only triggers once. Once the cutscene is over, it can't happen again, obviously, because you could still walk into that area. We have this second room here. I actually did have some time to place some objects around here. Going through to the next area. This is where I really wanted to place more objects around the maze, but I figured that was, I wanted to get the game out, and it was feature complete. We move over here. This game is really derived out of, at its core, one thing. And that one thing is the interactable object. We go into my script here. I have an interaction controller and an interactable object. Right here, we have set a node 3D with a class name of interactable object. It's got three things. It's got a function that you can interact with, an interaction prompt, and a variable if you can interact with it. Now, every single object in this game that you interact with, the torches on the walls, the lever, the doors, they all extend this interactable object script. I can put in the interact function, and I can override it to do whatever I want. And that's basically what carried the whole thing. The game exists of entirely simple interactable objects. Some of them check for variables. Do you have the key? Do you have the torch? Some of them just exist. For example, this lever here. If you don't have the lever, this box is not interactable at all. If you have the lever, the box is interactable. If you haven't installed the lever, interacting with it installs the lever. But if you have installed the lever, interacting with it flips the switch and sends out a signal, which then causes these gates to go down. So the entire game is basically built around that, and that did teach me a whole lot. It's actually, I've never built something with this many levels of interactability, and I'm very, very happy with what that came out to be. I'm very, very proud of this project. So moving forward, going into November, we have the Game Off November Game Jam hosted by GitHub. This is going to be really exciting. I'm not really sure how much effort I'm going to put into this game. I do have some people that are excited to continue working and making these projects with me, but I also do have a much bigger game idea that is honestly probably too ambitious for what I can do, but I really want to start diving into that and slowly expanding and writing up ideas and really conceptualizing what I want that game to be, because that one is a really big passion project for me. Anyway, I'm probably going to be playing some goofy video games and making some videos on those, so I hope you stick around. I hope this video was interesting, and we'll see you next time. You have a good weekend and take care. Bye-bye.